welcome to a Friday evening here in Windsor, Essex. It is Arms, broadcasting live from beautiful Amherstburg, Ontario, in the Little Heart Social Studios. A little bit of a tiring week for me, but I'm glad to be back live with you this evening for the Arms Bumanlag Project. This is the show where we talk to folks right across Windsor, Essex, and beyond about what's on their mind and sharing some good news with our viewing audience. If you're joining us for the first time on the show, we're glad to have you along for the ride. We are live on Facebook. I always say Instagram. I want to get on Instagram, but we're LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So you can leave some comments and let us know what you're thinking. We have new episodes that drop here on the show weekly. And we've had a pretty good couple of months. We're actually in episode 13, believe it or not, for the project. And we've had a lot of cool people on the show, especially this past Monday. We had the lovely Christy Bizarre. You might remember her from CTV Windsor. She was a news anchor, was on CP24 in the Ottawa area, wife to DJ Smith, and mom of two amazing boys. Chrissy had lots to share with us. That podcast and that live stream is up on YouTube, and you can search the Arms Bumanlag Project on Spotify. And then Adam Lally, this guy, solid individual. He is going to join us to talk about the state of the car industry and what is cooking at Lally Ford in the county. He's going to be joining us on the show for a quick chat on Monday, July 26th, 8 o'clock. Love to see Adam on the show. Recently dealt with him on a number of fundraising activities to do with the Windsor Essex County Humane Society. So always glad to have Adam on the program and have a conversation with Adam. And we would love for you to suggest a guest. You can do so by email me directly. It's arminbumanlag@gmail.com. And my guest this evening is a guy that, I'm going to be honest, my wife knew before me. My wife knew of him through her work as a pharmacy technician, and I got to know him through the years through a number of outreach community programs and just a really good vibe with this guy. And he's done some amazing work in the course of the last couple of years, especially with helping folks. But I would rather show you some of the work he's done. Take a look at this.
Everybody's jumped on board. Like I said many times in my posts, the community is awesome. It just started out with an idea, and then companies like Lally Ford, Auto Group got involved, and they've given me a ton of donations. A lot of gloves, facial gear, stuff like that. And as it's grown, you obviously get know more people know more people, and they're finding out that we are the right place to come to make sure the supplies go to the right people. My biggest thing is cancer patients. I've probably got myself personally about 35 that I deal with a lot, and they are really scared. When I first started out, my first cancer patient, she was telling me how scared she was. She didn't want to go out. She had no idea what to do. She was going for her treatments, didn't have any gear. She didn't realize they were going to give her someone that she got to the hospital, but she didn't have any. So if nothing else, it eases their minds, because I was able to give her very good masks, shields that were donated by Ford Motor Canada. I've had health board officials tell me this group has probably saved upwards of 100 lives. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just something nice to hear. Take the safety precautions that we're given. I can't stand going on Facebook and reading people that it's a conspiracy theory, it's this, it's that, there's no such disease, it's no worse than the flu. I was like that at the beginning as well, and I admit that I thought, it's nothing. But then I get out in the community and I talk to people who've gotten this, friends have gotten this, family have gotten this. It's a brutal, brutal virus. Do what the health board tells us to do. Keep your distance, wear face masks if you can, especially in closed, confined places. Try to stay safe.
Gives me goosebumps just to take a look at that. And to me, that honestly feels like years ago. Joining me on the show is community advocate, playground designer, just solid individual, Mark Jones, live on the project with us. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Not too bad at all.
I had to play that video because I got honestly, I have goosebumps on it, because it just, man, if you think about where we were a year and X amount of months ago, dude, if people haven't told you how awesome a job you have done. Let me be somebody here loud and proud on my program to say you did a hell of a job, brother.
Thank you. It didn't seem like it. It just felt like something I had to do.
So
And
how did I mean, Mark? Let's talk about that. Okay, so first of all, welcome to the show. Let's talk about how you got involved with the whole PPE push at the beginning, how that all got started. I know a lot of folks were following you on Facebook for inspirations, for some guidance. How did that get started for you?
I've told this story a few times, but it was just a simple thing. Like my daughter went to the grocery store. That's when everybody was taking the toilet paper. I don't know why. They just thought it was going to save their lives if they had too much toilet paper or something. But anyway, there's an old gentleman in the grocery store looking at her, very confused. Says, "Where's the toilet paper?" He thought she worked there. And she said, "It's supposed to be on that shelf there, but it's all gone." And she said he seemed very, very upset, didn't know what to do. She came home crying. She told me about it. I called the grocery store manager, and actually he knew who the gentleman was. And I ended up getting some toilet paper for him and getting it to him. And I thought, if he's like this, there's a lot of people who are like that. So then I thought, I'm just going to put it out there to Facebook and see if people would like to help out. And this community is fantastic. We had well over 1,000 volunteers within a matter of a week. So it just blew up.
And you continued to do this. I mean, this was at the height of the pandemic, Mark, where, and we're going to get into all the sorts of nitty gritty with you, right? We're going to talk about the kick-ass playground designs that you do. I want to get that side of the business, and we're going to share some good news here on the show, which I'm really excited to get to in the next couple of minutes. But this is like March, April 2020, where I always say to folks, it's like the world really technically ended, and we were like ushering into this new uncertainty. And folks didn't really know what was going on. The change was happening left and right. Like, you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. So like, you got to be at one point saying to yourself, like, what's ahead, right? I mean, you're driving around in the truck, you're getting these supplies to folks who need it. You got to be thinking in your head, Mark, what the hell is going on?
Honestly, it's something where I'm thinking about, okay, this is going to be, it's only going to last a couple months. Everything's going to be okay. By next year, it'll be fine. And people will have been taken care of and it'll be something in the past. Well, reality struck. We're still here. I do see a light at the end of the tunnel now. But once that reality hit me, it was like, wow, how are we going to get through this? But we did.
We did. And I think it's because of, community-minded folks like yourself that were so crucial in the efforts, right? I mean, I know that you went out to long-term care facilities. You dealt with a lot of folks who are going through chemotherapy, a lot of folks who are going to the cancer center at Windsor Regional, and you were there, you were helping them, you were trying to get some supplies for them too. So, I mean, I just wanted to play that video. I was happy to shoot that for you at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just want to say it's just a pleasure to know you, my friend.
Oh, feelings mutual. When I first met you, I found out everything that you did and how much you do for the community, and I thought, we've got to all do this. We're all part of the same community. We've got to help each other. Thanks, Rhonda.
Yeah, and Rhonda, thank you for those comments. We want folks to comment in the live stream too. And I think you're right. I think if we can, I think certainly when you take a look at things in society as a whole today, I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat anything, right? I've said many times on the show, I think we can all agree that the world is in a very different place right now. And there's a lot of things that we don't get right collectively as humans. I do think that there are a lot of things that we do get right. And there's a lot of things that we continue to grow on. And a part of that, I think, is some kindness and maybe taking some time out of our day to kind of exercise that. Because when you were doing those sort of PPE runs and gathering and in gathering the community, your normal gig is not that, right? Like, you are a playground designer, which I think is the coolest job in the world. But you had to do something. So you were doing this out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, a lot of small businesses like myself, were shut down. We couldn't do anything. Our installers couldn't install. The virus was just too bad at that point. So I'm sitting at home thinking there's people who are a lot worse off than I am. And there's probably a lot of people sitting at home like I am wondering, what can we do to help? So then when my daughter came home, it was, wow, a light bulb went off and thought, we got to do this. And then it just expanded. I actually ended up delivering stuff to Chatham and Sarnia for cancer patients and for children with disabilities, which is near and dear to my heart, as you know.
Yeah, I think that's just a testament of the type of guy you are, Mark. And I just want to thank you for spending again some time with me this evening, because I know this is our first. I remember I asked you when I first launched the show. I'm like, dude, do you want to come on the air? And you're like, what? And I'm
Yeah,
like, it's good. It's me. We're hanging out. We're having a conversation. This is what the show is about.
yeah, you know me. I don't like to get in front of a camera. I don't like to get on the microphone. I'd rather write things down and what have you, but
Sure.
I feel comfortable around you. You're a fantastic guy. You make people feel comfortable, and you're always positive, which to me that makes it a lot easier for me as well. And I got to give kudos to you and your wife. You got a fantastic family and a beautiful little boy. I love that guy. Just
Thanks, man.
fantastic.
Thank you, and I want to say thanks for sporting the shirt too. Right, that means a lot to my wife, and I know Carrie's upstairs. She just put Liam down to bed, and she says, "Hey, Mark, love the shirt." So that's so crucial too. So I want to talk a little bit about that as we get going too, how we connect with each other. Because initially, like when I bring people on the show, it's like how I know them and how we kind of work together. And you and I have worked together on some really cool stuff over the years too. But I know my wife Carrie, she's the one who kind of knew you initially, right? Because you were a customer at her pharmacy, and then as things kind of progressed through the years, we got to know each other through some different fundraisers, including the amazing work, I should say, that you continually do. You're a consistent blood donor. And you just what did your 103rd 100
Yeah,
103rd, right?
yeah, you got it.
Oh, God bless you. So
Yeah,
tell me about that. Like why get involved with Canadian Blood Services and then go through that process?
that actually goes way back to my parents. My mom, she's always one. She's heavily involved with her church. She's always involved in giving, and she's always brought me up. If you can't donate money or you can't donate material things, you could always donate something like love or blood, whatever, to help people out, even time. So I thought, well, I'm not really scared of needles. They don't bug me or whatever. So it's just a matter of sitting down and actually relaxing, because I never relax. So that's how I look at it. And then I read about it. You can save up to 3 lives every time you donate. So I just
It's crazy.
thought it's simple. Why not? I wish more people would, but it seems like the people at the blood clinics are telling me they're getting more and more all the time. So I love to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too when you say that, Mark, because I know I was talking to Marissa, who is sort of like the district uh, PR comms person for Canadian Blood Services here locally, and she said it has been somewhat of a challenge, especially around the pandemic, to get folks to come into give blood, and then they do the mobile clinics. I know in April was the last time here in town in Amherstburg where I gave blood, and you're right. Like for me, we used to do broadcasts on the radio all the time at Canadian Blood Services, and I would never give blood. I'm going to be quite honest. I was kind of scared of doing it, and this is long before we had Liam, right? So then everything that my son went through at Sick Kids and the multiple upon multiple blood transfusions he needed to survive, I kind of said, okay, if this kid can do it, I'm going to just have them. I mean, this kid went through hell and back. Stick me with the needle and take what you need if you can use it. And that's when we, like Carrie and I, really started to launch the going into that, and then getting folks to come to our blood drives. Like we didn't do one last year with COVID with Canadian Blood Services, but last couple of years. And here's a picture. This is you sporting the shirt at the Libro Center when we got together for Liam's blood drive. I think this was February 2020, a month before the pandemic hit, is when we actually had people at the Libro Center come out and give blood too. And it's just a good vibe, right? You get to see people and you get to hang out with people too. And I think it's cool. 103. So you're going to keep going until they say, yeah, we're good, right?
Yep, you sure am. You can tell back then it must have been closer to wintertime. I don't have the tan that I have now.
That's what everybody says to me too. They're like, "You're so tanned." I'm like, "I just tan
Yeah.
easily." But things have been going okay. Like things are picking up for you too with the gig and getting back into the playground design as well.
Yeah, it's starting to. Last year was horrible, obviously, and it was for many small businesses. And I've been on Facebook and I've been vocal about opening up and everything, but I do know that the government's trying to do what they feel is in our best interest. So I'm just trying to be patient. But this year has started to pick up a little bit more, and I think by next year around this time we should be back out of the red and hopefully going again. But it's a tough business. Like you said, it's a fun business, but it can be very, very tough as well. And the stuff I sell is a little bit higher end. and it's more expensive than a lot of the other things. And municipalities don't have a lot of money right now, so
Sure.
you got to get through it that way. So, of course, I do a lot of custom stuff, and so I rely on a lot of private customers. And I'm doing a big barn design right now for a place that's just fantastic. And are you okay if I say it?
Yeah, I was going to say, because when you kind of teased me on this too, because I want to talk a little bit more about the design process and, where you get the inspiration. But you've done, I mean, to name drop, you did the Miracle League out in the East End, right? You did that. I know I covered that for you on CBC when I was there. But this is a kind of a neat group. So tell us about this. Let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, with this particular group.
It's a group. A gentleman named John Casey gave me a call. He said him and his co-worker Paige Shepley, they work at a place called WETRA, which is Windsor Essex Therapeutic Riding Association.
Yes.
And to be honest, I really hadn't heard a lot about them. So he asked me to come out, take a look at their facility and what they do. Wow, I was really impressed. What they do is, obviously, they help out a lot of disabled children and adults as well. Plus, a lot of emergency services workers go there because it is a therapeutic thing to get with these animals. And anybody who knows animals and loves animals know that when you're around animals, it's total relaxation. And then they brought me to their big Clydesdale named Major, and obviously I fell in love. A beautiful horse, but I'm getting off topic. What they want to do is, because they get a lot of families that go there, but they also have children who aren't involved in that, and they would love to have a place where the children can go play as well, but they wanted obviously something very inclusive, and they wanted something that goes with the theme of what they have there. So I said, well, we can do a barn design. And that's actually, John said, we wouldn't mind something that looks like a barn or something like that. And I said,
sure.
You know what? I love that idea. Give me something, give me a challenge. And so I thought, okay, I can do this. So I put it out on Facebook, and I didn't say who it was because I had asked them, and I think they wanted to keep it kind of under wraps until they got the ball rolling, but they're going to be starting for fundraising for it now. So that's who it's for. And hopefully we can make that dream become a reality. It's probably one of the most creative designs I've done yet.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, like when you think about groups in Windsor Essex that, I mean, I wasn't familiar with WETRA until we started to really, I mean, we did some fundraising for them back during my CKLW days. And I know my friend Jim Crichton does a lot pre-COVID for their events. But, I had a chance to cover some stories out there with sort of the connection between some kids who have emotional challenges and developmental challenges, and the openness and the freeness that they have, that connectivity they have when they are able to horseback ride. And to see some of those kids, and I actually have friends who have children who have gone through the WETRA programs too. It is pretty incredible to see the positive emotion that is perpetuated when these kids are actually on the horseback and they're making those connections with the animal, because horses are amazing creatures. They really are. And I think I was blown away to see the facility as well. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool that we have something like that in Windsor Essex. But now that you can kind of curtail what you do, make some, again, kick-ass parks for kids. I mean, Your stuff, dude, is like the stuff that you did in East Windsor for Miracle. Like when I saw that, I was like, this is pretty cool. Because I remember like the 1980s jungle gyms like you would do as a kid.
Yeah.
And it's just like a single piece of pipe and it's like multicolor and that's it. Right? Where these are like, it's like sculptures and little tunnels and things. And so it's all going to be a barn design. So that kind of ties in with the overall look to it, right?
Yeah, it's fun. And I don't know where these come from. Like well, there's John. But it's just, I look at something, I get something in my head, and maybe it's because I have a brain of a 10-year-old. I don't know. I've been told that before. But I just think, what would I like to play on if I was a kid? And I do talk to a lot of children. Like if I go to a school and, well, obviously I ask the principals first, can I talk to the kids? But they tell me what they like. And when you dig into a child's brain, it's unbelievable the creativity you can get from them. So I take that and I design with it. and it's just so much fun. It really is. And then to see that come to fruition, and then see children playing on something you designed, there's no better feeling, especially when these children have not ever had a playground to play in. And this is one where they can go, if they have a wheelchair, they can still go play and be with everybody else. I can't, the feeling is just undescribable. It's just amazing.
These are custom jobs though, right? Like you're
Yes.
not, I mean, we want to really emphasize that for people who are watching the show. Like when Mark goes and puts idea to pen to paper, so to speak, or I guess on the computer, how you design it, these are the types of interactions that you're thinking it, you're visualizing it. You're like almost like the Disney Imagineers, right? Like you're thinking about how can we have these kids be interactive
Yeah.
and have fun, but how can I make it from scratch? Not scratch, because you are getting it fabricated, I'm sure. It's like, how do you kind of go through that kind of route? So, have you had some of your designs over the years? Because you've done quite a few around the Windsor Essex area and really around the whole region. Have you had those designs sort of replicated in other areas, or you know, other folks in your industry say, hey, this is kind of cool? Like, does that happen in the playground design industry? People kind of riff off each other?
They try. I'm with a company called Playworld. I've been with several manufacturers throughout my career, but Playworld is by far the best I've ever been with. What they'll do is they will take your ideas and they will make it. So like you're saying, I actually design it. That's what I do. You'll see the desk behind me. It's like I take pencil to paper to start out with, and I just jot down my ideas, and it's scrap, and I show it to my wife or daughter, and they look at it and say, what the hell is that? So they gotta wait till it comes out to 3D. But in my mind, I know what it looks like. So then it goes to the computer, and then we start designing from there. But some of it, like this barn theme, has never been built before. It's something that took a few months to go through. We had to get the engineers. We had to talk to them for a little while to make sure everything fits properly, because I'm not an engineer. So I throw them my designs, and then they're responsible for making sure this thing works and it meets all the safety standards and what have you. As far as replicating, no, I don't build the same structure twice. I never will. I have had some of my cohorts from Playworld who are in the Ontario market ask me if they can use particular pieces of my designs for theirs, and then yes, we do that. But you won't ever see the same playground of mine twice.
So for folks who are listening to the podcast after the fact or watching the live stream now, outside of the Miracle League in the East End and the upcoming project at Wetro, which is really exciting to hear about here first on the project, where else can people see your work, right? Like where else in the city of Windsor have you left your print, so to speak?
Well, another really good one that really hit my heart was McGivney, John McGivney. I worked with them it was almost 2 years to design something for them. And then Bill Mara from Hotel Do joined in, and because they have the rehab over there. So we ended up building a playground that was we called it from 0 to 110 years old, because the one side is fully accessible for seniors and fitness, and
that's awesome.
The other one's for kids. And then there was a fence in the middle, and Bill says, I want to take that fence out. I want them to be able to communicate with each other. And that wasn't even my idea. That was his idea. And it ends up that they love it. Like the seniors get to talk to the children and vice versa. And it's an amazing park and playground. And that was something that actually went beyond what I thought it would. And that was a lot of fun. Another one was at Harmony in Action, where I was a board member there for a while. And it was the same thing, but this is for people with disabilities, but more adults. Mm-hmm. So we had to make it more adult friendly. And that was also a challenge for me, because I'm used to making things for children. So that worked out really, really well. Great place, fantastic people to work with there. I can't say enough. And that's actually where I first met Anita, who's now one of my best friends. She's a phenomenal person as well. And then I guess the first one that really got a lot of attention was the one on the waterfront. That's the pirate ship.
Yeah, I was going to say that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one made the cover of Playworld magazine, the International Playworld magazine cover. So that was an international award winner. So that's when I first really started getting into the real custom stuff. And I thought, this is a lot of fun and this is right up my alley. So that's what got me going. But there's some all over, like Captain Wilson Park is another one. Um, it's Elizabeth Kishcon Park, I think it's called now,
Yep.
where we have one of our big branch outs. That's a fun one. And then in Essex, I've done several there as well. So I'm enjoying it. And I've actually did my first one in Innisburg a year and a half ago, and that's a real nice nature theme. So hopefully they start picking up and they start seeing the advantage of having creative playgrounds, because children nowadays weren't like us where we like to spin on a merry-go-round until we get sick and throw up. They need to use their minds. If they go to a playground and it's fun for a day, but there's nothing they can really concentrate on and have fun with mentally, they don't want to go back. So my best complaint that I can ever get is parents telling me I can't get my kids to leave. So when they say that to me, I'm like, yes, that's what I like to hear, even though sometimes they're really pissed off about it.
It's like, yeah, come on, wrap it up.
Yeah.
We have that, like, and I would think too, you know, what's funny, Mark, is like when you talk about playgrounds, and like I could go on for like hours, because like I like in my mind, as like young Arms, I would go over like what would be badass. And I'm trying to convince Carrie to let me build something in the back at our place, but I'm an okay handy guy. I'm like nowhere near like Tim the Toolman Taylor, but like we have one down the road from where we're at. And you know, I'm going to be honest, like when obviously when the pandemic hit, you know, all the municipalities were roping off the playground equipment, right?
Yeah.
And then they opened them up, and then I was always, and I still am, extremely cautious of Liam in public settings. But we took him down there, and he had like the time of his life.
Yeah.
Like the kid was just like, he was very cautious at first, but he was like, this is like really fun. And he was going up and down the slides, and it wasn't anything. The one at the end of our street's pretty good. It's not bad, but I always thought it was just fascinating to see, you know, what went into playground design too, because I think if anything, municipalities should be taking a look at this now and maybe looking at the future post pandemic, the value of outdoor activities. I mean, when they opened up everything last summer, in between lockdowns, and like people were kind of still at home, but they wanted to do something with their kids, and maybe they're not fortunate to have their own jungle gym in the backyard. I mean, I've never seen more kids at a park, which is kind of neat to see too. So I would hope that, you know, municipalities bite on the chance to maybe, and I know there's a whole process through the municipal lens to kind of get things going, but
It's
to
very
offer that incentive so it's not cookie cutter equipment that you'll find anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm starting to see that more and more, because you're first of all, you hit the nail on the head with Liam going to a park and enjoying it. That is the number one reason why playgrounds have to be accessible. Because the old playgrounds, if a child was in a wheelchair, all they could do is sit and watch their siblings play. Like, what fun is that?
It's terrible.
And so now I make sure there's at least one or two things. I don't care how cheap the playground is. There's at least one or two things that they can play on. The big thing is I've donated, I think it's about 25 now, accessible seats for swings. And they're not cheap. They're about $1,100 each. But right away, that's the number one activity on a playground. First of all, swings. It always will be. So right there and then, even if a child's in a wheelchair, it's a transferable seat, so they can be picked up and put in that swing. It braces them in, and they can swing. They're with everybody else playing. And even ground play, like you have to have some ground play. Even if they're playing down at the bottom and some kids are playing up the top, they're still communicating. They're still part of that group. So now they feel like they're part of the group. And that's where playgrounds are starting to go, and municipalities are starting to push that. And it's just fantastic. All the kids get to play together. So you need neighborhood parks. Background playgrounds are great, but you need playgrounds where all the children can get together. And it was so hard for me to see children not being able to play during this pandemic, because they have to. They need that.
Samantha comments on LinkedIn tonight. She says, my kids tell me specifically which playground they want. The baseball one, the pirate ship. No, the one with the purple swing and the green one. They can't get enough. We spent days going to each theme. And that's, I think, another thing for municipalities, I guess, to take note of. Like, I would say about 3 or 4 months ago, I was trying to get Liam out to more parks. And then I kind of did, and here's like $1 million fundraising idea. I'm going to throw this out, like a map or like a passport. I know people don't want to hear passport, but a passport
Yeah.
uh, for this area for Windsor Essex. Okay, and it has all the different parks, the different types of parks, like for kids. So then parents can pick it up and they can kind of stamp it as they go. So
Yeah.
you can kind of do the tour of forest. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool because I actually talked to my mother-in-law and they're out in Colchester and she goes, "We have a really pretty cool park at Colchester Beach." And I've never really been out there and I saw it and it's a little bit older. It's all wood, but Liam
Yeah,
had
it's
a
really nice.
blast. It's really nice, right? Looking over the water.
Yeah.
Um, when you're designing these kind of things, are you taking a look at, like for me as a kid, I remember like I always like to do like going to tunnels and go through, like does that, is it case by case basis or you look for different things to fit the theme? Like for the barn, will you be doing more above ground things, tunnels, swings, or
I'm not telling you.
trying to get it out? I'm like,
actually,
I'm making a note here. I'm like, okay, gonna go see some trash, right?
actually,
No.
the barn, I made it as realistic as I possibly could. So the pictures don't show it, but the inside, you have what looks like haystacks that are steps that go up to separate areas in there. There's ground play for where wheelchairs can go in there, and there's games that are ground play. There's actually, which I try to put on every park, it's find the object type thing. So it's a, you spin it and it hits a certain object on the board. That is somewhere within that barn. And you got to find it. And usually I like to keep those low so everybody can go and look and find it. But as far as what I design for where, sometimes cities will come out and they will say, okay, we want this specific theme on this tender, so then you design to that theme. But if they don't, I go out, I look at the area, I analyze it. I will go talk to people in the area. A lot of playground people don't. They don't have the time to do that. But I'll just ask them, like, what would you like to see?
Yeah.
What do your kids like? And do you mind if I get your email? I'll send you an email and you can send me information on what you'd like to see. And I get it all the time. I'll put things out on the post and I'll say, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that?
Sure.
And I'll get so many different ideas. So thank you, everybody. Keep commenting on my posts. And I just love it. Yep. Pretend animals.
Pretend animals. That was my next question. So you did like the baseball theme with the Miracle League. You did the pirate down at the waterfront, nature theme out here in the Berg, right? How about like like has anybody said, like, this is just me selfishly saying because I love Liam and I love dinosaurs. Like, have you done like a dinosaur type of kind of feel to it? Like a maybe like a fun like volcano thing you can climb, you know?
Bologna Park in Windsor. You should check it out.
Come on.
It has a T-Rex on it. It has
Write
a
this down.
train car that looks like a safari car.
Okay.
It has dinosaur tracks that you can walk along. It's definitely a dinosaur theme. And the pretend animal ones, go on my Facebook and look at the barn theme I did, because there's a cow, there's a pig. We're going to be putting in a horse because I'm making a horse that looks like Major, who's the horse I fell in love with there. What I do is I use another company for this product, and it's all handmade polyconcrete. So it's like the baseball glove at Miracle Park that weighed 12,000 pounds. They have to be delivered. But they will make anything I want. So if you go and look at that pig is custom. The big cow, it's huge. That thing weighs about 10,000 pounds. It's got a little baby with it. And like I said, I'm working on I did a frog, I did a turtle, and I'm working on the big horse right now.
Rhonda says, how about a superhero park?
Yeah,
See, I would think that there would be some, there would probably be some, I mean, you could do generic superheroes, like somebody that kind of looks like Superman and like, but I would imagine there's licensing, right? Like you're not going to be able to go in and be like, oh, I'm doing a Disney park. Like that's not happening, right?
You can't do that, but there is another manufacturer that I've been talking to that has some Disney and licensing on some of the products.
Oh, cool.
And I can't say too much more about it, but yeah, we can get some of their products now, but they're not cheap.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're paying your
money.
Yeah, I was going to say you're paying anything Disney, you're paying a premium, right? I mean,
Yeah, I'd love to do a superhero park with Spider-Man webs and everything. It would be so much fun.
Jim McDowell. How about a rest or nap area for us olders with grandkids? So the old folks sitting little cot area for grandma and grandpa.
And the thing is, I do always include those in my designs, but they usually get taken out because of
Really?
cost. Yeah,
Uh,
we have benches. I'm now the distributor for USA Shade, which is the biggest shade manufacturer in the world. And what I do is I put in benches and that, and they all have shades over them.
mhm.
But it eventually those get taken out because of cost. But I don't do too many playgrounds now without benches. But you need the shade, and I think you're going to see more and more of that. And I'm starting to get actually more requests for shade structures, like the big steel one we're going to be doing at Grand Bend,
Mhm.
and the fabric ones. The possibilities are endless for those.
Hmm.
Plus, we have benches that swinging benches,
Oh,
but I'm
cool.
a little afraid to put those in playgrounds because I think the children might get a little bit too crazy on those.
Oh yeah, they're gonna
But
run up and start swinging, and yeah, game over,
yeah,
right? So is there anything you'd mentioned? If you're just joining us, by the way, on the live stream, Mark Jones is my welcome guest. Great guy, community advocate, award-winning playground designer here, inclusive playground designer, I should say, and a good friend of ours here in the Bumanlag House. And we're happy to have him on the project this evening, talking a little bit about what he's been doing. He's been doing some really great work at the beginning of the pandemic, helping folks get access to PPE. We talked about that at the beginning of the show, and we're kind of diving into next steps for Mark and his playground work and his designs, just announcing on the show that he's going to be working with the Windsor Essex Therapeutic Riding Association here locally on an inclusive playground at their location that is going to be obviously barn themed to go along with the horses and the theme of therapeutic riding at the Windsor Essex Therapeutic Riding Association. You mentioned you've done some private contracts and kind of get into that. Has there been anything that somebody has said to you, you know, which would be kind of cool. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but just to say, you know what, spare no expense. This is what we want. This is what my kids, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, is there anything that you've kind of had to rein in where you're like, maybe that's not safe? Like, we're all like borderline theme park at that point, but
yeah.
you know,
It's I wish I've never had that. I wish I have had people like when I say private, I mean more like establishments like Wetra. I've had people who are residential ask, and I tell them, look, you're not going to get anything less than $15,000. This is commercial stuff, so it has to be engineered, it has to be stamped by engineers, it has to pass through all these different tests, and these things are built more solid than any house you'll ever see. So by private, that's what I mean. Like Miracle Park, private, McGivney, private, but no, I haven't had a spare no expense. That would be fun, and trust me, I could do it.
yeah, you're thinking like multi, like I'm just thinking like, the spinny slides that go down, you do like multiple levels, right? Where you could just kind of like enter in at different points. And it's just I always just respected you in the sense that it's just a cool gig to have, right? And I
Yeah.
think you're able to see your effects for generations to come. When you look at the advancements that you've seen in the industry, certainly with the technology, I mean, I'd imagine, Mark, that's something that's really improved, I would say, probably over the last decade in terms of the quality of products that are using.
I would definitely say the last 5 years for sure, decade. Yep. Electronic stuff has come out. Outdoor fitness is unbelievable. And yeah, I have had a dream, and only Anita knows this. I wanted to do just like a huge theme park where every 5 or 6 different areas where it's all different things. Like this could be an animal theme, this could be a fantasy theme, this could be a castle theme, and what have you. We did a nice castle in Essex as well, and a water park. And then in the middle, I could do a great big shelter, picnic area, and a dog park over on this end because I do all of that. But obviously, it comes down to this, and it's a very expensive thing. Something like that would probably be $9-10 million just to do something like that. But yeah, that would be a super dream of mine.
Barb says your dad would be proud. I loved him.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your creativity and passion. So that's great to do. Barb, thanks for the comment. Mima says a superhero theme. See, superhero theme would be fun. My husband's a Batman freak. I sure you'd appreciate it too, Arms. Man, if you had
Could you imagine
like
that one? That would
oh,
be
that would be pretty cool. You could have like a little jail area where you could like put the bad guys and
caves, Batmobiles,
Batmobile. Be
ropes
pretty
climbing
cool.
up out of the cave. Oh, I could do anything with that.
Very good. Funny story. I got to start since we're on the topic of playground equipment, and if you're just joining the show, Mark Jones is my welcome guest. Great guy, solid dude, award-winning playground designer on the project with us today. Comment in the comments and let us know what you're thinking. But when the pandemic hit at the beginning of 2020, Liam was still a little guy, and I mean he very much is still a little guy at this point too. But I always thought it was really interesting too um, because I'm not that handy of a guy. So we knew that we were going to be hunkered in place, especially around the summer of last year. So, I mean, you couldn't find playground equipment anywhere. Like if you were going to like Home Depot or like not, I'm talking not the commercial grade stuff like Mark has, but I'm talking about the stuff that you would want to build in the backyard. I couldn't find anything. So I actually went on buy and sell, and I asked Mark for his opinion on a couple of things I found on buy and sell if this was worth it. So we actually have like a little tyke step two. It's like two towers with a little bit of a bridge. Ended up getting off on buy and sell, hosing it down, kind of refurbishing it. We still have it in the back. Liam likes it. It's okay. But I remember like seeing all these different types of things, and somebody on buy and sell had it was a step two. They called it the Skyward Climb, and it was like a mountain. It literally was like a mountain, and it was like a big dome. And I was like, you talk about the Batcave. I'm like, that is awesome. And it's like you wait for a second on buy and sell, and somebody's grabbing it, right? So I'm like, oh, somebody sold it. But I remember asking, like, what happens to all of the equipment, generally speaking, that may be a little bit older, but do municipalities keep that? Do they? I mean, I'm sure there's some legality issues about reselling it or something like that, but I mean, there's got to be some safety issues with that too. But generally speaking, does that stuff just get recycled, or how does that work?
Yeah, as far as us, insurance wise, if we remove it, we have to actually destroy it, because what happens is it's being removed because it's failed safety standards. And in this business, liability is huge. I don't even want to tell you what we pay insurance. It's just crazy. And there's really only Lloyd's of London will cover. So insurance says if you remove this, you must destroy it. So a lot of the times we don't do the removals, the municipality does. And I don't know what they do with it. So I'd have to ask, but I think they do the same thing, they destroy it. Now, if we remove something and it's left on the site overnight, it goes missing. Oh, well.
Let me make a note. No, well, because it's funny because Carrie was like, okay, you got to stop buying stuff off buy and sell. Like it literally, I called it Liam Land in the back of because we weren't going anywhere last year, right? And we're not going anywhere this year. But I got him like a sandbox in our backyard. He loves a sandbox, and he's got little trampoline, like a really small little type one too. But we went through all of that, and I remember I think it was on Kijiji, somebody was selling like the commercial grade. They're like dinosaurs. They were like big, and it wanted quite a bit for him. So I was trying to talk him down, and that wasn't happening. But thankfully, because Carrie probably would have had my head on a plate if I came home with that stuff. But Mark Jones is on the show. Chantel comments here on the feed. She says, Mark is so generous. I wanted some benches for my daughter's school. I was willing to pay, but no, he wouldn't take our money. He actually donated them. I think that goes a long way, Mark. I mean, I know you do it out of the goodness of your heart too, but if you're able to leave that lasting footprint in the community, I think that's a testament not only to you, but also giving back to some folks here in the area who could use the help.
Yeah, I'm not in it for the money, as you know. It's not, if you want to get rich, this is not the business to be in. So when you have a chance to help people out, it does go a long way. You make some friends, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to turn around and they're going to do something for somebody else. I find that a lot. When I've helped somebody, they've turned around and they've gone and helped somebody else. So it's like a chain reaction. So that's what I'd like to see. If I can help somebody, great. If they can help somebody, great. If I can help a child get onto a playground that they never were able to have access to, phenomenal. So if there's a playground around and the municipality doesn't have money, they're a small municipality or it's a private place, but they don't have the money, and I have the opportunity to get them a accessible swing, why not? Who cares? It's just money. And the smiles that you get on their faces, and just, it's worth it. Put it that way.
Well, I was going to say to you, I'm going to contact you. I mean, we're always in contact, you and I, anyways. But I want to contact you. You piqued my radar. I'm working as fundraising development director at the Humane Society, and I love the job. I've been there for 3 months. It's just an amazing organization to be with, an amazing executive director in Melanie Coulter. And you said dog park, so my spider sense started to tingle a little bit there. Um, you also do stuff for animals too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See, you like my job. I love your job because I love animals. My problem is if I worked at the Humane Society, I'd have 400 animals at home because I'd want to take them all home. But yeah, we just picked up a dog park line this year because I've been trying to get one for a few years, and there's really nothing really that great out there that's available. And then this company popped up, and actually Essex, I was working with them, and they said, "You do dog parks by chance?" And I says, "As a matter of fact, I do." So they got one at cost, and it's out there now. It's at the Essex Arena, and it's full, and it's a lot of fun. And they're not that expensive compared to
Really?
playgrounds. They're a fraction of the cost because you don't need your protective surfacing. You don't need any of that. You can put them wherever you want. Put them in the ground and let them play.
So, like, what, like you say, I think of the dog park that we have at the Humane Society now, and I remember years ago when I was doing traditional broadcast, we were there for the unveiling of that. But like, are you thinking like like, what has been the advancement for dog parks in general? Like, is there a little bit more to do for them, or more things for them to climb and hide?
Yeah, it's the basics, but it's the basics on steroids now. The company I deal with is called Barks and Rec, so it's a phenomenal name. So they caught me off right off the bat there. But yeah, it's the same thing. There's ramps, there's ropes that they can climb on, and there's ropes that they can actually grab and swing themselves around. And I actually, the one in Essex, I got to go replace it already. They've torn it to shreds. Um, but like you said, there's tubes. There's actually there's dog trampolines.
Come
Uh,
on.
yes, and they're teeter totters for dogs. They love it. Uh, you name it, we can build it. They're a growing company as well, so anything they want or anything I want, they said we'll build it for you. So it's kind of cool. They do have the fountains as well, but you need the water hookups. Um, but yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I finally got a manufacturer to do it for me this year.
Sandra says on our feed on Facebook, she goes, "The Dark Park in Essex, very nice. Thanks, Mark. My dogs absolutely love it." So I'm going to have to check that out. I mean, we're always looking at different ways, and I think we've got some exciting things coming down the pipe for the Humane Society over the next couple of years, to say the least. So
It's
maybe
not
that's
a big
something that,
part, but it's nice.
yeah, I mean, I think that's, I mean, you've seen the place what we've got
Yeah, you're
on
just
Provincial Road, right? Like I remember when we launched it, and it's still like in really good shape. It's just if we're going to be thinking outside the box, so to speak, maybe
yeah.
there's some opportunities there. Samantha just says, "Where is the dog park again?"
It's at the arena, the Essex Arena.
Okay,
So they have the splash pad there, and it's right in close proximity to the splash pad there.
I've got a comment here on Facebook too for you. Mark says from Kevin Zimmer saying, "Need to contact Jerry Jones for you, me expenses spare job. Go
Oh,
Cowboys!"
that'd be nice. There's a smart man right there. He knows he's got great taste in football, and I'll have to give Jerry a call, Uncle Jerry.
So, outside of helping the community, getting involved with local groups here in Windsor Essex, doing the playground stuff. I know you said you kind of pay it forward, and I got to say props to you because I know when Carrie and I started to fundraise when we got Liam home from Sick Kids, we still are very, as a family, we're very involved with the Ronald McDonald House here locally at Windsor Regional Hospital, and Christine and her staff are awesome friends of ours. And you're wearing the Liam's Pride shirt, which we are doing some fundraising for the Big Red Shoe Run virtually this year too. So, I mean, props to you for supporting that, and then you've got my new mug too. So God bless you for picking up that. And I apologize when you came by Mezzo the other day. Mark's such a good guy. He's like, "Hey man, like I'm going to be on the show. I want to get a mug," and I'm like, "Yeah, I hook you up, no problem. We'll get you one, and I appreciate it." And it's just been a crazy week this week. So Mark swung by Mezzo when we were getting ready for our doggy bag delivery for the Humane Society. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off because it was all things to all people, but it was just nice to see you in person. So thanks for, supporting all the different stuff that we've got on the go, man.
Well, it's vice versa. You support me, I support you, and We have to. And it has been a long time. I haven't seen you in ages.
Right? Like when we filmed that video, because in that video that we played for at the beginning of the show, Mark was at our place, and we were just really concerned. I think a lot of folks were at the beginning of the pandemic. So Mark was gracious enough to come on by, and my wife Carrie is actually, if most people don't know this, she's a pharmacy technician, and and if a lot of people don't know this too, my son he's got a weak immune system, immunocompromised because of his heart surgeries that he's had, and being a congenital heart defect warrior as well. So we nobody could get any hands on PPP. We were able to at least have Mark give us a few things that could get us through until the next stop. So, I mean, God bless you on that. But it just, I think, generally speaking, Mark, I think we got to turn. And I mean, agree or disagree with this, but I think we need to turn a corner as a society, and maybe realize that there are a lot of things that need to be worked on. And I think people get that. But I also think that one thing that is in very short supply here locally and across the world now is kindness, right? People just taking maybe a step back instead of grabbing that pitchfork and getting into the mob mentality, and maybe just taking a step back and saying, let me offer an olive branch. Let me walk in somebody's shoes and see what they're up against.
Yeah, I'm the first to admit I got into that too. Facebook, it can be great, but it can be an enemy as well. And then I got into the political crap, and I got to back away from that. It does get very negative, and it separates people, and that's the last thing we need right now. We need to look forward. Forget about the past. Let's look forward. We're going to open up soon. We're going to beat this. We're going to be out together again, and let's just try to help each other out. I got to, like, the negativity is really peaked during COVID, and I'm hoping that changes.
And you know what? I agree with you, but I get it, because there's people. I mean, at the beginning of COVID, people would say we're all in the same boat. We really weren't, right? I mean, there were people who thrived during the pandemic, and there were people who were really struggling to put food on the table and the lights on. And I get people were upset, and I get it's unprecedented times, and when we have things like the June 27th miracle is great, and they did some amazing work, and we have folks like yourself doing outreach and doing things, just being where they need to be, but it's also phenomenal. And I just think that if people can take a step back and say, okay, how can I help the people I know, and how can I help the people that maybe I don't know, and do it in a way where I can extend that olive branch, I think is so crucial, because I think we're all at a point now where, like you said, I hope we open up so we can kind of get back to some sort of semblance of life. Like, it's crazy. I was saying to Carrie the other day, my wife, when Liam's older, we're going to tell him about the summer of 2020 into 2021, and it's for him, he will never know anything pre-pandemic. Like, he was born at the beginning of just the tail end before things went south in 2020, but it's like, for him, he won't remember. I know this is stupid to say, but like the 90s or the 2000s, you know what I mean? Where we weren't worried about, you'd go to a bowling alley and stick your hand in a bowling ball and then grab a chicken wing and have a chicken wing, right? Like, now you're not doing that. You're dousing yourself with hand sanitizer. You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that.
Yeah, I think life as we knew it, it will never be the same, obviously. But I hope we can get back to at least some semblance of it. If nothing, it's been a real wake-up call, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Liam was at a good age, because, like you said, he's not really going to remember it all. Who I really felt bad for the kids in grade school.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Go and see their friends. Like, I understand both sides, and I really don't take a side, because I don't think there's a right or wrong there. I really don't. And then the kids who were graduating high school, they couldn't go to the proms, they couldn't go to the graduations. That's the ones I really felt bad for. And then, of course, the small businesses. A lot of them went under. And we were very close. I will admit, we were very close to shutting down, but this year started to pick up a little bit, knock on wood, and we've picked up a lot more product lines, and that's helped it. It really has helped it. So please get out and support those small businesses that were able to make it through this.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up too, Mark, because that's, when I came on board at the Humane Society and we were talking about, charities have felt it too. right? I mean, there's no shortage of, I think, charities. I mean, you're asking people to give, and people may not have the resources to give right now. So we took a look at, one of our bigger fundraisers was the traditional gala, and we came in and I said, okay, well, let's try to, anything I've ever done in my career, I've always seen what the other guys are doing and try to put my own spin on it, new fresh coat of paint, and put it out there. And I know some of the folks at United Way in Niagara, pardon me, were doing some of that virtual gala fundraising. So I said, let's try to do this fundraiser where we deliver the meal to folks, right? And it was a kick at the can. It was just, we'll try it, and it worked out really well. And when we're able to kind of adapt those things and support local business, and we had options to kind of maybe secure some food vendors, like, outside of the area, and it's like, no, like, I want to find some local businesses that are here. I want to find some local wineries that could maybe use some support, and let's make it happen. So I think it's great that you're advocating for businesses here locally, because I think they're going to need it. And when you talk about that mindset shift, for me in the pandemic, and certainly my family, it's been, I'm going to be quite honest, some of the social interactions that we've had, or lack thereof, I think this is really given a chance to maybe streamline everybody's social calendars, right? Like, I'm not saying that I don't miss going to my fifth cousin removes baptism that I haven't seen in 5 years. I'm not saying that. I am saying that I'm finding that my time is more, it's not, I don't want to say valuable, because I'm going to sound like a heartless bastard, but like I'd much rather spend, okay, well, I'm going to spend the afternoon with my son and go
Yeah.
for a walk or something. And I think that maybe at some point, and people can jump on the stream and say this, but, and you can disagree with me too, Mark, if you like, but it's like, I feel like maybe sometimes we were so booked socially pre-COVID, where it's like you couldn't even take a breath. Like, it was like you do the 9 to 5 through Monday to Friday. Saturday you got to be at 5 different things. Sunday you got to be at 6, 7 things, and then guess what? Monday you started all over again.
Yeah.
And I think COVID has kind of streamlined that for a lot of folks to say, okay, wait. Doesn't mean that I don't care about you, but I'm going to make those interactions more meaningful when I'm at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. See, I'm more introverted than a lot of people. Like, my wife is very extroverted, so it hit her a lot harder than it hit me. Um, so I kind of made it through okay, just the business wise. I didn't, but I felt really bad for people like her who need that human interaction outside of your family, because obviously she's going to get sick of seeing me every single day. She needs to get out. But you're right. We were very busy, and you're very right. Like, I didn't see my daughter a lot even, and I'm not a guy who gets out all the time, but
Yeah.
I kind of really enjoyed the first part of COVID, because we were all together, we're all sitting down watching TV, going for family walks, and I'm like, I love this. Like, this is phenomenal. And now we do have our TV night once a week, what have you.
Awesome.
And so maybe in that area, I agree with you 100%. Like, families got to get together again and be together more. So that was in itself great. And then you go back to local. I think this really made people realize that we need to support our local people before we
sure.
support others. And I'll be the first one to admit I bitch on Facebook. Oh, this municipality bought from a company way outside Toronto area, and I'm here locally. But they don't have the money either, so they had to go with what was the cheapest price, because it's a taxpayer thing as well.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, it is something that I think did bring some families closer together. But as it went on, it's been hard. It has been really hard.
This goes to, like, my next line here before we wrap it up in the next couple of minutes here. But
No,
Barb
it's
saying,
fine.
you
Right.
have to turn off the TV and not read the paper. Media is very negative, and the only good mental health is to stay positive. And I say that to people all the time too. You're not putting the horse blinders on, plug for Wetra. You're not putting the horse blinders on and saying, I'm not going to be cognizant and stick my head in the sand like an ostrich and say I'm not aware of everything. Like, I get a lot of my news on Reddit. Like, if I'm talking global news, I read about climate change and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's going on in the States. But I also take a look at it and say, what is my capacity? And Carrie's like, you always talk about capacity on the show, and it's like, well, I'm a firm believer in that, and I'm trying to really teach myself that it's like every day you have a cup, and how much can you fill into your cup, and then that includes your consumption. So am I filling it in with the constant negativity? Or am I going to say, okay, well, I'm aware of that, and maybe that's not my whole cup. Maybe that's 5%, and I can put a little bit more positive in it. So I just think it's an opportunity. It has to be, that we can make something out of this as a society, and how we consume what's important to us too.
Yeah, I love that capacity thing. I still struggle with that, and
I do too. Yeah.
I and I keep going back to Facebook, but it does draw you in, and the negativity does draw you in. So you got to try to step back and just take time for yourself. And Barb is 100% right. The news it loves to dictate negativity because that's what draws audiences for some reason. So my wife is a librarian. I've gotten into reading more in my spare time, like the last couple of weeks. And she knows I love these fantasy type books. So she brought one home and said, just try this. And now I'm hooked. So you're going to see a lot less of me on Facebook and not watching that stupid news crap. And my mom watches a lot of the news and it worries her. She's a worrier. And I'm like, Mom, stop watching so much news. We know what's going on. If you need to know anything, watch it once in a while, but don't be consumed by it. And
No.
so now she's watching the Olympics, which I'm very happy for her.
So I actually have like, you talk about fantasy stuff. I've got like in my office here, I've got tons of like books. So next time I see you, which will probably be soon, I mean, I don't know if you're into Star Wars stuff. I got tons of Star
Love
Wars
it.
books that are actually a good read. I don't know. Do you like Phil Collins?
Yep.
Okay. I have his autobiography. It's awesome.
I've heard that's really good.
I will lend it to you. It's, let me grab it here, so people just don't think I'm talking out of my butt. Phil Collins. I'm telling you, it's called Not Dead Yet. Carrie got me this, I think 2016, and I read it 3 times. And like the guy is no saint. Like he has awesome music. I will tell you this, but he's no saint. He goes through all of his different marriages, getting inspired by the Beatles in London, coming over during the 80s. This is on my list to give to Mark Jones, so you can read
All
it at your
right.
own leisure, my friend. So
And my
Phil
book
Collins.
to you is Michael Irvin,
Okay,
Dallas Cowboy receiver. At Be
write this
prepared to
down.
be shocked.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was not a real nice guy in the locker room, but boy, he kept that team together. He'd never get away with it now, but some of the things he talks about his cocaine habits. He talks about actually taking a pair of scissors to a teammate's neck.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was nuts, but it brought the team together for some reason. Back then, football players, they were like that mentality. So it's very interesting. And then how he sought help for his anger issues. And I think Carrie just commented about reading something 7 times. I didn't get to see it, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Carrie, my wife. So Carrie, for the last couple of weeks, because I've been really busy at the society trying to get things off the ground with the gala, and every day there's a new Amazon package at our front door. And it's like now I'm like whatever, right? But it's always now it's not clothes, it's books. So I'm like, wow, and she's banging out these books when Liam goes to bed. She's not watching television. And now there's a stack of books on our dining room table, Mark, you should see. And she's like, well, what do you do with all the books? They're piling up quick.
my wife's a librarian. I read them,
Yeah.
I give them back, she takes it back.
And that's a good thing. Okay, so your wife's a librarian. So libraries aren't like libraries many moons ago. Like they actually, like, not that they have good books, but they actually they have some of the current stuff. Like they've got a lot of the stuff that people can sign out, right?
And you can actually order it too.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go, Kara, who's probably watching the show upstairs. There you go, because she was asking me, maybe I just go to the library, and I'm like, yeah, save yourself $20 a pop. You know, there you go. She says I need a library card.
Yes, you do. And my wife for years kept telling me, get a library card, I'm like, I'm not gonna read books. Now I'm addicted. It's such a nice getaway. I sit in the backyard when it's nice out. You got the TV on, and I mean not the TV, you got the pool going, and
Sure.
it's a nice escape because it can be stressful life right now.
Yeah. And you know what? One of my escapes during the pandemic, I mean, I've been doing a lot of studying lately, to be continued. But the other thing that I've been doing too is, to kind of keep my sanity and to give myself a little bit of arms time is, if anybody's kind of followed me through the years, they know how much of a big video gamer I am. And I have just like rediscovered my love for video games. And Carrie will laugh at me because she'll come down into my office/man cave and I'll be sitting there and I'll just be lost in an Xbox game. And I haven't done that for a long time, right? Like you have a child, as you know. Sometimes that kind of stuff goes by the wayside. But Liam, fortunately, right now is doing really well, and he's on a really good routine. And outside of me doing the podcast like this for fun, I will hunker down and I'll play video games. And I think people need to do that, because I think I personally got away from that in the last 4 or 5 years because of my commitments as a dad and a lot of my career pivots.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that, and it's only, like I said, it's only been a week and a half, 2 weeks, but I found myself getting too involved in arguments about politics.
Yeah.
I hate politics. I can't stand it. I'm getting away from it. I don't know how anybody can be a politician, but just find your way to get away from everything. And that's the way. If it's video games, great. If it's reading a book, great. If it's just sitting out in the sun and relaxing, great. Just find a way to get away from everything. Give yourself some you time every day. Makes a world of difference.
Well, somebody who makes a world of difference is you, sir. So I just wanted to say once again, you're a great guy. We're proud to call you a friend of the fam. I know Liam calls you Mr. Mark. We showed him pictures when you were wearing your Liam's Pride shirt, and he goes, "Is that Mr. Mark?" I said, "That is Mr. Mark." But I want you to know that you're appreciated in the community. You do great work, and Windsor Essex is lucky to have you. And you got to keep me posted on how things go with the Windsor Essex Therapeutic Riding Association and John and the team. Congratulations on that.
And the feeling's mutual. I always call you my favorite family. So
God bless you.
Thanks for everything you do in the community. I really, really appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Well, thanks, man. Mark, you've always been very supportive of us, and you've always had my back as an individual too. So God bless you, man. I appreciate it. And thanks for being, see, look at that. We went over the hour mark, 107. Easy peasy, man.
This isn't going to go too long, is it?
No, it was great. And we got lots of great comments in the feed too. So Mark Jones is my guest on the show, episode 13 here on the project. If you want to see some of the pretty cool work that he's done, the website is there for you to check out. You can also find him on Facebook when he is not reading. And, you can engage with him one-on-one on Facebook, especially if there are municipalities and other things that you can, organizations here locally who would like to use him. So I'll be in contact too with the society too. Maybe we can have a little chat about that too. So anyways, have a good rest of the night. Okay, my man?
Thank you. You too.
Mark Jones is my guest here on the show. Great guy. Really appreciate him coming out. And you saw Mark sipping from a specific mug on the program. He is outfitted with a pretty cool thing that we've been doing. And same with Steve Biro, who was a guest on our show. And here's some of the folks who watched the program, listened to the podcast after the fact, getting their hands on the Arms Bumanlag Project mug. This is really cool. You can have your favorite drink, alcoholic or not, in it. And as you continue to listen or watch the show, some of our past guests here, Luke Michaud and Missy Hunter as well, out in Essex, you can change the channel, do a little bit of positive thinking, and upgrade your conversation with positive vibes. We've teamed up with Divinal Designs here locally, and we are proudly offering those high-quality ceramic mugs for you to enjoy a coffee in. And those are available at Divinal Designs. They're on Facebook. It's $20 a mug, and the proceeds go to benefit the Windsor Essex County Humane Society and the Ronald McDonald House at Windsor Regional Hospital, two amazing causes that we love to support here on the show. And if you would like to pick up those mugs, you can also message me too. I'm trying to catch up on some of those deliveries and distribution of those mugs after a busy week here in the Windsor Essex area. So that's going to do it for another edition of the show. Don't forget, Monday, we're back on the air. Have a fantastic weekend with you and yours. Adam Lally is going to be our guest on Monday night. Looking forward to chatting with him. And we love your comments. So send us those emails and suggestions on Facebook, or you can email me as well. Take care.